Yeah, so I come from a very, very poor family. We lived in poverty. At the age of 17, I was actually homeless. And on top of that, so we didn't have a lot of food in the house, and we were a family of four children, and then my mum and my dad until they got divorced. Anyway, so there was a lot of people in the house, and whenever food came in, it was a kind of like, don't eat it because it needs to last, and also don't eat it because you're so greedy and you're so out of control and you need to stop eating so much food. And so there was diet culture on top of food insecurity, and then being raised in a Catholic household, like the amount of guilt that was there, like woo, Nelly. And so I truly believed that I was this out of control, eating my family out of house and home person. And on top of that, we were rewarded and shown love with food. And so it was the most complicated thing ever. Whenever I was hungry, I would go to the cupboard, and a lot of times there wouldn't be food, or the food that was there was not, like I would do things like eat dry pasta or eat just a dry Weetabix or whatever I had, or whatever was there, and but then also feeling guilty for eating anything, and then also getting comfort from food too. Oh man, like I just thought that I was the devil, like this food desperate food consuming devil. And I was desperate for food because I was one, hungry, and two, told that I couldn't have food because I was greedy, and so it made me want food even more, obviously. And I blamed myself. It was my fault, right? It was totally me. Yeah, so that was very complicated. So it morphed into undiagnosed binge eating disorder. It morphed into, yeah, a very disordered relationship with food, a very kind of black and white, not trusting my body, very secretive about eating and eating in secret. And allowing, actually, my first relationship, I dated this guy who was abusive, and one of the ways that he would abuse me was with food. And so he would put me on these quote unquote diets. Basically, he would control what I was allowed to eat. And because of my history with food, I thought, oh, he's being such a good guy, he's helping me because I'm so out of control with food. I need someone else to take this process away from me because I can't do it. I can't eat. And so the things that he had me eating were ridiculous. Like nothing, no food. And obviously I lost weight because my body was starving, and it just reinforced that idea that I can't feed myself. I need someone else to tell me what to eat. And if someone else is in control of what I eat, then I will become thin. And then on the other side of that, because I was literally starving, I would have moments where I was alone and would desperately want food, and then would have food. And if my abusive ex found out that I'd eaten any food that was deviated from his plan, I'd be in big trouble. And so that sneaking of food was even more heightened. Like I had to become really clever about it. And, like he would count the slices of bread in the bread loaf. And so if there was one missing, he'd be like, where is it? And I'd be like, oh, well, it fell on the floor, so I put it in the bin. And then he would look in the bin and be like, there's no slice of bread in here, so you must have obviously eaten it. And then me having to be like, oh yeah, I did, and then the consequences of that. And so looking back, I'm like, oh my god, I was desperate for food. I was starving, and then I couldn't because I thought that I was greedy, and then I was being abused by someone who was telling me that I was so greedy and out of control. And the reality was none of that was true, and that was so inappropriate and awful and abusive, and I should never have had to experience that. And what should have happened really is, if I could go in now as an adult, I would take little Victoria and I'd be like, here is a secret stash of all the food you could ever dream of, everything, and you come and eat as much as you want. It's all yours. And the same with the abusive relationship. I had like a secret place where I would be allowed to eat and eat, you know, even just a normal meal, because I wasn't allowed any normal meals, and all of the things that I craved, and try and heal that relationship with food, which is eventually what I did do. And I allowed myself all the food, and it was wonderful. And now my relationship with food is great. So thank baby Jesus. Not that I'm religious, but